The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, in light of David Benavidez missing weight on the scales, he's no longer a WBC World Champion, so that means he's just another one of the guys. He's no different than me, he's no different than you, he's no different than any other fighter in that weight class. And now he can't big time nobody if he doesn't want to fight them. So with that being said, David Benavidez has been called out. Yes, he's been called out, and he's being called out by one of the biggest names and one of the fastest rising stars in all of boxing, let alone 168, and that comes in the form of Edgar Berlanga. Now, Edgar Berlanga, he took to Twitter last night, right? Yeah, last night, and he stated this. He said, I quote, "Benavidez wants me, no problem. Have Al Heyman call my manager and promoter, and I'm ready. Puerto Rico versus Mexico." Ooh, my man Berlanga. Listen, we know Berlanga has been talking about wanting to get ready for Canelo Alvarez in the next 18 months, and this would be a hell of a fight to help him take that step to get ready for Canelo Alvarez, as Benavidez is a former world champion. You know, he's one of the brightest talents in boxing. He's probably somebody that Berlanga might actually be an underdog against if he fights him. So I'm with this. I'm with this young guy going for the smoke. I'm with this young guy calling out one of the biggest names in the division. I'm with this guy trying to be great, to show some ambition and show that, hey, he's serious about what he's talking. He's serious about his boxing career. Now, I think this would be a win for both Top Rank and PBC. I know sometimes it's not. I know most of the time it's not easy for PBC and Top Rank to come together and make these kind of fights. But I mean, we're talking about a young, budding Puerto Rican knockout artist, superstar in Berlanga. You got him on one end. You got David Benavidez, a young, Mexican, puncher, fun fighter to watch, fan friendly. You put these two in the ring together, we're talking about a fight that has potential. Puerto Rico versus Mexico classic written all over it. So look, I know right now at the time I'm shooting this video, Benavidez has to take care of Romero Angulo, and that's not going to be a gimme. There's no gimmies in boxing. But should he do what most people think he's going to do and defeat Romero Angulo, I would not be against this fight, because the reality is this. We can't talk about Caleb Plant fighting him, because guess what? He ain't got a belt. Caleb Plant's got bigger fish to fry. Caleb Plant's going to be wanting unification fights with other guys in the division, and those are going to be his top priorities before it's now Benavidez. It's not Caleb Plant's fault. Benavidez turned into the Mexican Adrian Broner, into the Mexican Gervonta Davis, and decided he couldn't lay off the enchiladas and the burritos and the tortillas and all that stuff. So that's just what it is. But if he wants to really get himself into that title contention quick, I would love this fight. I would love this fight, because I think what it represents for both of them, first of all, for Benavidez to take the O of a guy like Edgar Berlanga, who's stopping everybody in the first round, who's looking sensational while doing it, that I think would really put him back in the mix quickly and swiftly. And for Berlanga, this would be a major step up in class, because if you look at the guys he's been fighting, there's nobody he's fought that's anywhere near the caliber of a guy like Benavidez. His last fight, he boxed Eric Moon out of Atlanta, Georgia, and that was even considered a minor step up from what he'd been fighting, and he stopped him in one round. But to go from Eric Moon to David Benavidez, it's a massive step up in class, and I would admire him if this fight got made and it happened. And it's a good fight, because Benavidez is a guy that likes to sit there in the pocket and bang. Berlanga, he's got skills, and he kind of breaks you down in a more methodical way, even though he has all these first round knockouts. If you watch how he's knocking guys out, he's not doing it with just brute strength or brute force. He's doing it, with these boxing subtleties, these skills, kind of like guys like Roberto Duran used to break down guys back in the day. So he kind of, I'm not saying he's as good as Roberto Duran, but I'm saying like he's got that thing about him to where he's breaking you down, not with brute strength, not with brute force, but with skills and real subtle things. We saw in his last fight when he fought Moon, he brought his glove down like Lomachenko and shot the right hand over the top. So he's got those kind of skills, and they're improving on a fight-by-fight basis. And I think this is a fight that if he's calling for, I always say, look, if a guy's ambitious enough and he's really got it in his heart and he thinks he can win these fights, then who am I to say to not make these fights? So Edgar Berlanga versus David Benavidez, I ain't knocking it at all. Puerto Rico versus Mexico. I mean, when was the last time boxing had a true Puerto Rico versus Mexico fight between two young, undefeated, guys that are either in their prime or heading towards their prime? We haven't had that in quite some time, and I think, I always say, True School Sports is something the boxing game's been missing. Puerto Rico versus Mexico fights with young fighters who are undefeated. That's what the boxing game's been missing, and we want to give people something the boxing game's been missing. So I'm all with it. Edgar Berlanga calling out David Benavidez. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding. So until next time, take care, guys.